Good morning, everybody. I'm certainly glad to be here, broadcasting live from my basement. So it's always a little different. Of course, we'd really love to have been with you in person for the first PaveWise conference, but certainly doing it this way is the way we, we're all dealing with things these days, and we'll make the best out of this. And I hope I can tell you a good story here this morning about the concrete pavement industry and about ACPA. So I guess, do I have control yet? Let's see if I do. There we go. Well, let's start with, who is ACPA? Well, we are a trade association. We represent pretty much any type of business or individual that wishes to get involved in the industry. I'll show you that picture here in a minute. We focus on, all uses of concrete pavement, really. So highways, streets and roads, airports. Airports are a very important segment for us. Many airports are built out of concrete pavements, and we do a lot of work with the airport community and the airport owners, and also commercial industrial. So we really are a trade association that has a kind of a broad perspective in terms of membership, and a broad perspective in terms of the markets that we work in and represent. We have also a local presence, and it's exciting to me. This is the first PaveWise conference, of course, but it's also the first for Florida Concrete Products Association as the Florida chapter of ACPA. And a couple of years ago, we put an agreement together, and we're excited to be working with Florida to build a concrete pavement industry presence there, and to establish a great working relationship with the Florida DOT and the other agency partners that we would have in the state. Here are our locations, and we do have representation again across the country. I'm, like I said, I'm broadcasting live from my basement here in suburban Chicago. Our headquarters is in Rosemont, Illinois, which is right outside of O'Hare Airport. We are centralized in our national location because it gives us easy access to a lot of the work that goes on in the concrete pavement industry we can get to from the Midwest part of the country. But we also have a federal affairs office in Washington, D.C. We have, of course, 20 state and regional affiliates across the U.S., as you can see here. We have a lot of partners that we work with, and with that, it's a great opportunity, right, for the folks in Florida, for Matt and Amy, and representing the industry there, to get information from other groups and what's going on in other states, and help to share that with the DOT and others in Florida to help foster new technology and improvements in specifications and so on and so forth. So we're a sharing industry, and it's represented on this map. Here are our membership categories. I kind of mentioned already that we represent a broad spectrum of folks with interest in the industry. Contractors, cement manufacturers, material suppliers, equipment manufacturers, consulting engineers, and, as I mentioned, even individuals that wish to be involved and to learn and to contribute to the industry. So, again, a broad perspective. If you look at the market, our largest segment, of course, is in highways, and each year we measure our market in terms of square yards of paving. That is the term that the contractors generally, work with most, and so we represent our market, in terms of square yards, and it's been a pretty steady market. We've seen a little bit, there's a little bit of up and down every year, but we're right around a 50 million square yard market. Now, I will say, and I think, the Secretary mentioned this morning as well, that there's impact expected from COVID due to decreased revenue, state tax revenue. Less vehicle miles traveled means less revenue generated for for state programs. So we don't have a full picture of what that is, but our 2020 forecast right now really is showing a, pretty steady. We're not seeing a lot of declines right now. That may hit us next year or the year after. We don't know. Like everybody else, we're all kind of dealing with the changes that have come forward under the pandemic, and we're not quite sure, what that ultimate picture will be. But we're pleased that our market is steady. And actually, what's exciting here is that we have some states, and you can't see them in these bars, but we have some states and we have some technologies where the use is growing, and we're excited about that. And one of the things I wanted to really point out is the growth in concrete overlay usage around the country. And there really wasn't a whole lot being used back in prior to 2000. We'd have a project here or there. Most of them were considered experimental. Now there's been experimenting going on with concrete pavement overlays, and a state or two that have used a fair amount of them over the years. But it didn't, as far as the national picture was concerned, it didn't really impact the national figures very much. But what you see here as over the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen a jump in growth in concrete overlay use and application. A lot of that's been concrete overlays on asphalt pavements, and we've seen that as a big growth area, as well as unbonded concrete overlays, where we're putting a concrete overlay on an older existing concrete pavement, and using that, capitalizing on the asset that's in place and using that to support a new pavement on top. That's grown to about 12.5% of the total usage of concrete pavement. So this is one of our exciting areas for the industry. And now I want to talk to you about something we put together here going back about 3 years, and we call it Vision 2040. And what Vision 2040 is it's really imagining the future of concrete pavements and where we fit into the spectrum of use, and where we fit into the future, and what types of things we can do in research and technology improvement that can help us meet the challenges and the needs of the agencies. And so we put this idea together. We convened a blue ribbon panel, and we asked them, kind of almost unshackled, if you will, to imagine what things would be like in essence. We put forward the year 2040. So that's 20 years from now. What would things be like, and what would we need to do as an industry, and what would we need for concrete pavement as a technology to help meet those challenges and those needs that we see in the future. So we did that. We put that panel together, and we had some, interesting. It was an interesting exercise, and it shaped our thinking, and it's shaping some of the things that we're looking at in terms of supporting and focusing on for research. We also conducted a Shape the Future workshop, and in this one, we invited some of the leading DOTs that were looking at innovative technologies together to get again, another perspective from them as to what those needs might be. And from that, those two things, we've developed an action plan, and we're at the present now in this step 4 implementing the Vision 2040 as part of our industry program. So I'd like to kind of give you a few things. It's not all of it, but a few things. I don't have time to go through everything that they brainstormed and envisioned, but it starts here. We are seeing right now a little bit of a blip downward in the vehicle miles traveled and the usage. But here's the thing. Most certainly, America will need more pavements. Why do we think that? Why do we know that? Why did the Blue Ribbon panel envision that? They envisioned that because in 30 years, regardless of what's happening in this 2020 situation, there's going to be 70 million more population growth. Now, 70 million more people in the United States is the equivalent of the population of about 3.5 of the state of Florida. That means there's going to be more goods, more services, more freight, more people, more soccer moms, more everything that need roads and need to travel. America will need more pavements. That's first and foremost. That's fundamental. So that was one thing that shaped our thinking there. And we also know that usage has been outpacing capacity, right? This is growth data. It's from the U.S. Department of Transportation, and it's just we put it together to show how the growth of vehicle miles traveled in the blue bars is far outpaced the growth in the construction of road miles. So our capacity has been outpaced, and it's going to continue to be outpaced going into the future. Now, we might see a slight reduction this year, but that'll recover, and we'll certainly have to account for all the new people that are coming into the country. So this is going to drive the need for more pavements. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, and I've got a picture right here of an Amazon drone, right? And it's pretty cool to think about. Gosh, I can get a drone and drop off a package. I can order it online, type it in, order it online, and by golly, maybe Amazon will drop that package I need at my front door. That's pretty cool. And some folks imagine that that's going to reduce the amount of vehicles we have on the road. But here's the thing. We're just thinking about that part of the problem or that part of the situation. This right here is a picture of an Amazon distribution center. Those are huge, huge facilities. And guess what? All of those goods, all of those things that we order online and have shipped, whether by a truck or by a van or by, a drone, all those things have to get into those warehouses. And part of the prediction here is that, we've got these vehicles. If you ever looked at an Amazon Prime truck, it's pretty interesting. What we know is that based on US DOT prediction, the truck freight is going to increase by 43% by 2040, right? So we're not saying we're going to need less, pavements to handle heavy truckloads. It's going to be up 43%. The way we like to look at this is freight needs roads and trucks need concrete. Certainly concrete is the strongest pavement material that we can use, and it's a great match and combination for heavy truck traffic. And look at this right here. Over 80% of all communities in the U.S. rely exclusively on trucks to deliver all their fuel, clothing, medicine, and other consumer goods. So it's a fantastic relationship there, that we're not going to be delivering this all by rail. We're not going to be delivering it all by other modes of transportation. We need to get those things to the consumers on roads. So, we're all in the road business. We're all in the transportation business. We're not going away, I guess, is the vision here in what everything at the fundamental level is telling us. And I kind of like this picture. We think about that Amazon Prime truck. If you've ever looked at the back of one, Amazon's got it right. There's more to Prime, a truckload more. A truckload more, and a truckload more, and a truckload more. And those trucks need pavements to ride on. And we think concrete pavement is a pretty good match for that. So we're excited. We think we have a great future in our industry. We're excited. We're seeing some growth in some of our areas, and so we're pretty optimistic despite some of the challenges that we're going through. Now, I'd ask you to consider your role a little bit on meeting the future challenges and opportunities, whether you're an agency or whether you're in the industry. The industry certainly has an obligation to innovate, to make these things that we're talking about a reality, right? The technologies that are going to support the needs that the agencies have. We have to rise to the occasion and innovate to make that happen, right? Whether that's materials, whether that's design, whether that's our construction methods, all of these types of things that will help solve those challenges. We have an obligation to innovate to do that. And hopefully ACPA is a big part and a central player in that development. That's certainly our objective going forward. Now, if you're in the industry, that's one thing. But if you're in the agency, you also have an obligation. You have an obligation to institute policies that create healthy competing industries. So, we look at competition. Everyone can argue whether one type of pavement is good or better than the other for a given situation. That's fine. We totally understand that. But having competing industries provides a little bit more than that. It provides you a means by which to get the most from your current pavement investments. And it also encourages that innovation that we need to meet your challenges. So the way we look at competition, and the way we would encourage you to as well, is that it lowers both material prices, right? Whether you're talking about asphalt pavements or concrete pavements. It lowers both, and that's good for the agency, right? When you have two industries competing, it's healthy, it's good. It keeps us, it keeps everybody, basically their pencils sharpened and doing the right things. It extends your buying power as a DOT and improves your construction quality, because when you have both industries working, they both keep people they keep people employed, and they keep them trained, and they keep them working. It's not, we're not working fits and starts and having to bring new people in to train them again and starting from scratch. It keeps everybody working and moving together forward, and it keeps a healthy workforce going. And to speak back to the Secretary's encouragement about workforce development, when we have healthy industries competing, we have we can paint a picture for new people to get involved that is a much better picture than an industry that's working in fits and starts. It's a place that they can go to really engage in an entire career. And lastly, it spurs the innovation that we're talking about with this Vision 2040. So the agency has a role and an obligation, the ACPA and the industry has a role and an obligation, and together we can do some really cool things. So let's talk real quickly about what Vision 20, some of the technologies. There's certainly the smart pavements, the dedicated truck corridors are some things that we envisioned that by 2040 we'll have a lot more going on in those areas, and there's a room for concrete pavement to work with both of those technologies. There's, innovating together to meet recurring challenges like, resilient pavements. And I know there's already some communities and some DOTs looking at this whole thing, but by 2040, we envision codes and specs requiring resilient considerations for flood zones, evacuation routes, critical corridors, where we're raising the level of expectation of our pavements in those critical areas, and doing that by codes and standards to make sure that we're doing the right things up front when we're replacing or rebuilding or restoring those facilities, that we do it with that in mind. So I think that's a big implication again for our industry to have a place to participate in a program. And workforce development, it goes without saying that, the industry, the agencies, we're only as good as our people. Our people are our most important asset, and we need to devote more time and resources to this issue and to encouraging young people to get involved in our industry and make a career out of it, as I did, and maybe as you have. And how do we do that with the exciting things that are going on in other industries? We have to be exciting too. And we have to encourage them, get them excited about it, and find a home here in the industry. So I'll just summarize here, and I have a video I want to show you before I conclude. But we've got with our Florida chapter, with the Florida Concrete Products Association participating locally, and with our support nationally, we have a lot that we bring to the table to help in the state of Florida, and we encourage everyone to take advantage of these resources. They bring value to you. Our technical support on project challenges and specification development, all of those things. Agency support and just relationships and having trust that we're doing the right things together to put out quality pavements. technology transfer and implementations. We all have new people coming in. We have to get them educated, and we have to continually do that. Specifications improvement I mentioned, and focused lobbying. Even that side of what we do helps, because when we're making the right messages to those that fund us, it keeps it in their minds, right? It keeps it to the forefront of their minds. Pavement marketing, right? Same kind of thing. We want people to, look at us and just not look past what we do. We want them to see that pavements make a difference in their lives and not just take us for granted. So that's important stuff. We have an awards recognition program. I saw a couple of projects in this last presentation that I thought were great candidates to be national award winners. Those are cool things because that shines a light on all the good quality work out there. And lastly, it's just networking together like we're trying to do here in this virtual event. It all brings value to what we're doing.